Up next in the featured bout of the evening, you have a battle between two of the best boxers, not only in the bantamweight division, but in all of the UFC, between the number 6 ranked Rob Font, the New England Cartel member, coming back after, I believe, a year layoff, going up against the number 12 ranked undefeated fighter inside the UFC, not undefeated overall as a professional mixed martial artist, with amazing boxing and combinations himself, being compared to the man who's competing in the co-main event of the evening and being called Mini Masvidal by many people in Adrian Yanez, coming off the Contender Series. Font versus Yanez is a phenomenal matchup. It's probably the fight on the card, aside from the main event, that I'm looking forward to the most. I think that these guys are going to come out, and it's really going to be a battle of who can establish their boxing techniques more, who can be the sharper fighter, because they're both going to come with similar game plans. Even though they're not exactly the same, Font and Yanez have a very similar style. I think Yanez is more reliant on power shots and pull counters, while Font is more about volume, establishing his jab to control the range, and then following up with power shots and switch stance combinations once the jab is established. I think Yanez has learned more in his career to establish the jab, but at the same time, he's more about feinting the jab and then using the jab to set up the pulley effect in terms of causing the opponent to throw counters and then pulling out of the way. Pull counter with the right hand, pull counter, right hand, left hook to the body, 1, 2, 3, uppercut, shot to the body like he landed against Randy Costa. Like, I think the volume is on the side of Font, but Yanez has the quicker hands, so the volume can be more effective from Yanez because he's quicker than Font is. But I think Font is the sharper boxer overall and has the sharper jab. So we'll break down the stats real quick because I think it is important to look at the statistics for this fight. You have Rob Font coming off a loss to Marlon Chito Vera in his last fight. Prior to that, lost a decision as well to Jose Aldo Jr. Before that, he was on a win streak with wins over the likes of Magic Marlon Moraes. I mean, he has wins over Ricky Simone, Marlon Moraes, Cody No Love, Garbrandt. Even the fights that he lost between Marlon Chito Vera and Jose Aldo, he was winning those fights, but the problem is he just got hurt. He got rocked. He got dropped in both of those fights, but he was winning on the volume. He was establishing his pace. He was establishing his pressure, even using offensive wrestling as a counter to the striking of Aldo and, taking him down at a certain point, catching him off guard. Font can use his wrestling. That's something that I don't think Yanez has in his back pocket. And if he does have wrestling, whether it's offensively or defensively, that's something that he doesn't really use that much. We've seen him use his kicking game inside the Contender Series. We've seen him use it in the UFC. But for the most part, it's his hands. That's the bread and butter. And it's the same thing for Font, but I think Font's a little bit more willing to mix up punching and kicking combinations, mix up knees up the middle to stand switch combinations and angling off with high kicks as the opponent circles away. That's really what Font is better at. And I think Font has more weapons, but Yanez is going to be quicker. So I'll break it down more as we get further into the breakdown, but 5'8" for Rob Font, 5'7" for Yanez, so a 1-inch height advantage, 71.5-inch reach for Font to 70-inch reach for Adrian Yanez, so a 1.5-inch reach advantage and a 1-inch height advantage. The 1.5-inch reach advantage is going to be important against the fight that's primarily going to take place in boxing range and almost entirely going to take place on the feet unless it's counter wrestling or mixing up takedowns offensively from the side of Font, because I don't necessarily see Yanez looking to shoot any takedowns. He's more going to be using his wrestling defensively if Font does use the wrestling in an offensive manner. 38.5-inch leg reach for Rob Font to 38-inch leg reach for Yanez. So Rob Font's going to have the 1-inch height advantage, the 1.5-inch reach advantage, and that length is going to be important in that boxing style of contest. When it comes to the significant strikes, it's pretty even, man, and Yanez actually lands more ever so slightly than Font. 6.38 strikes landed per minute for Rob Font to 6.62 strikes landed per minute for Yanez. So about a 0.28 average or advantage on the side of Yanez, but Font is more effective and he is more accurate with a 46% significant strike accuracy to a 40% striking accuracy in terms of significant strikes from the side of the younger Yanez. 3.95 strikes absorbed per minute for Rob Font to 5.49 on the side of Yanez. So even though Font does get hit, and he has been hurt in his fights by Jose Aldo, by Marlon Vera, he gets hurt, he gets dropped. Those are with big shots, and those are from guys who are capable of finishing fighters, and the competition level is heavily on the side of Rob Font. But 3.95 strikes absorbed per minute for Font to 5.49 strikes absorbed per minute for Yanez. So he's absorbing almost 2 more strikes per minute than Font in the younger Yanez. 57% striking defense for Rob Font to 59% striking defense for the side of Adrian Yanez. Even though it's higher on the side of Yanez, I think Font is the better defensive fighter. He just has shown more issues with his chin and durability. However, he's gone up against the much higher level former world champion level competition, when the highest level fight that Yanez has had in the UFC was against Davy Grant, which is a great fight and a dangerous fight, no pun intended, but it doesn't compare to the level of competition that Font has fought in Rafael Assunção, Jose Aldo, Marlon Vera, Cody Garbrandt, Ricky Simone, Marlon Moraes. I mean, the competition level is just so much heavily on the side of Font. It doesn't even really compare to Yanez, but Font has been in the UFC a lot longer. With the grappling, I believe that more goes on the side of Rob Font using his wrestling in terms of an offensive option. If the striking isn't going his way, I think he can mix up the wrestling more than Yanez can, who's primarily just going to use the wrestling defensively, which I believe I touched on earlier, and to keep the range where he wants it to be able to land his slick and quick counters. 37% takedown accuracy on the side of Font, 55% takedown defense to 100% takedown defense for Yanez. So Yanez hasn't really been tested too much in the wrestling department, but he's not really going to be looking to use that wrestling offensively, but so far has not been taken down in the UFC. But I think if somebody can do it in terms of all his opponents that he's had in his UFC career so far, that is going to be Rob Font, who can exploit that wrestling side and really test the takedown defense of Adrian Yanez. Looking at the odds, I mean, Font comes in at a plus 155 to a minus 180 on the side of Yanez. I understand with the hype and the knockout upside and the speed of Yanez why he's the favorite, but I think having Rob Font as an underdog is more just an opportunity for the people who want to bet on this fight. I look at the fight in 2 different aspects. Like, the bigger power is coming from Yanez. The more knockout ability, the higher knockout upside, that comes from Yanez, because we've seen him clip people. We've seen him have amazing counter ability. I mean, he caught Gustavo Lopez with a switch stance. He caught him with a straight right hand as he was switching stances, but he landed it so fast that you couldn't even see the strike land on camera. Like, he switched stance, bang, it was right there. Landed big head kicks on the Contender Series. He mixes up the hand fighting ability and the ability to pull counter. He'll use the long guard and, the lead hand frame to kind of pull out the shots of the opponent, and then use that to pull counter with the right hand, left hook to the body, 1, 1, 2, 3, get the opponent to high guard. He's really good at guard manipulation and popping with shots, just bing, 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 get you to high guard, up the middle, shot to the body, just like he did against Randy Costa. But the thing in the Randy Costa fight is he was getting eaten alive with the jab of Randy Costa, the jab and the high kicking ability. Now, I think Costa has a better kicking ability than Font, but I think Font can use those angles, those stance changes, the ability to mix up the punching to the kicking combinations and flow between these different styles of striking, can leave Yanez open to get caught with some high kicks if he's getting pieced up with the jab. The jab of Rob Font is going to catch Adrian Yanez all night. It's just going to be, is Yanez going to be able to read the jab and slip inside it, coming over the top with the overhand right and the potential left hook to the body, or pulling, coming back with the straight right hand, the left hook to the body, the right uppercut, the straight right hand, the right uppercut, and everything in between. I haven't really seen too much footwork on the side of Yanez, but he does have decent head movement and ability to catch shots with his hands. He kind of keeps his hands out in front of him, catches, parries, parry and counter, catch and shoot. That's kind of the style of Yanez. He's a very big, reliant ability on counter striking, and when you have a guy in Font who's big on the volume, who's going to be throwing more volume, who's going to be coming forward, that does leave him open for the counter ability of Yanez, and we have seen him have durability and chin issues. He's been dropped, but he's never been finished. Now, is it going to be the young gun who's going to be able to finish a Rob Font? I think it's possible, but I just keep looking at the fight with Randy Costa and the fact that he was getting tagged up and eaten alive with that jab over and over again. And not only are you going up against a guy who has a great jab, you're going up against a guy who probably has the best jab in the entire bantamweight division. And you're going up against a guy who's fought much higher level competition. And I know people are coming into this fight thinking that it's going to be the passing of the torch, and that Yanez is going to run through Font, finish him, batter him up, win every round, drop him. I don't see the fight playing out like that, man. I think people are heavily underestimating Font here. I think they're heavily disrespecting Font. You're forgetting that these last few fights that he's lost were to Marlon Vera, who, yes, just lost to Corey Sandhagen, but knocked out Dominic Cruz and has won some great fights in his career. And then you're going against a guy in Jose Aldo, who, towards the end of his career, but had some issues with Merab and other fighters, but beat a lot of top guys in the bantamweight division, was a multiple-time featherweight champion, probably the greatest featherweight of all time. Like, you're looking at a difference in competition level, and it's night and day on the side of Font compared to Yanez. I think the jab of Rob Font is going to pick apart Adrian Yanez. I think Yanez will land some good counters. He'll be able to catch and shoot, pull counter, right hand, left hook, right uppercut, land some good shots on the high guard of Font. But Font's ability to land the switch 45, where he briefly switches to southpaw, goes back to orthodox to square up the hips of the opponent and then pop the jab, the volume, the ability to come forward and land those stance switching combinations, and the fact that he's better defensively, I think that he's going to give Yanez a lot of trouble. And I'm actually going to be picking the underdog in the number 6 ranked Font here to win this fight. I know that you can't only ever really look at one fight and take that into the tape study and really just focus your entire prediction on one fight. But Randy Costa is a long fighter. He's long, he's rangy, he uses his length very well. And yes, Yanez was able to jab with Randy Costa. I don't think, Adrian Yanez can go jab for jab with a guy like Font. If he does, he's going to get pieced up. Like, Font's going to be able to keep up the pace. He's going to be able to keep up the pressure. And we've seen that he has the durability and the cardio to push through those rounds, even when he's gotten hurt and dropped. He got hit with a side kick to the chin by Marlon Vera. He got dropped with a left hook and wobbled. He was able to come back and start the next round immediately on the pressure, get in the face, land the big combinations. Font has a very good uppercut that he uses to switch stance into southpaw and then get the opponent to circle off towards the left high kick. He landed it against Marlon Moraes. He's done it, not Marlon Moraes, Thomas Almeida. He's done it multiple times. His uppercuts up the middle against a guy who pulls, slips, and tries to catch a lot can give Yanez some trouble. I think he might start with the jab early, feint the jab, jab left hook, right uppercut, jab left hook, straight right, right uppercut, jab, right uppercut, switch southpaw, left body kick. I think Font's footwork, his angle shifts, his ability to mix up the punching and the kicking game is just going to be too much for Adrian Yanez. I know a lot of people like to pick these young up-and-comers who haven't tasted defeat yet, but we've seen this similarly when Marlon Chito Vera took on Sugar Sean O'Malley. Now, I'm not comparing Yanez to O'Malley, even though I think Yanez is a much better boxer than O'Malley. But, when he went up there, he got hurt with those low kicks and he eventually got TKO'd. This is the biggest test of Adrian Yanez's career. If he can pass this, then it's going to show us a lot about how much he can compete with the upper echelon of the UFC's bantamweight division. But I think Font comes in here revitalized. He's been off for a year after all that damage he took. I know that the guys over at the Hard Knocks Boston, Tyson Chartier, Jake Manini, guys like Tom Pagliarulo, I think I might have said that name wrong. If anybody from the camp hears me, my bad. Nick Fiore, all those guys are going to be getting Rob ready, and I think he's ready to put a stop to the hype train of Yanez. So I'm going to pick Rob Font to defeat Adrian Yanez via a 29-28 unanimous decision. I think that if there is a knockout, I could see it more coming from the side of Yanez being able to catch him and then, barrage on him with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 punch combinations. But comparing the competition level of Font to the competition level of Yanez, who fought Tony Kelly, Davey Grant, Gustavo Lopez, it's really night and day. And I think the competition level and the experience, keyword experience of Font, paired with his ability to, I think, match Adrian Yanez in the boxing and be better, sharper, and being able to mix up his weapons better, I got to go with Font. So my pick is Rob Font as the plus 155 underdog to defeat Adrian Yanez via 29-28 unanimous decision in a close fight, but where Font gets the nod.